Alright guys, we're going to get started with making this process of venison smoked sausage. I'm going to show y'all step by step how I make it and how I've made it for probably about 5 years now. We're going to be breaking it down with my old trusty grinder. This thing is definitely wore out. I probably ground at least 100 deer through it and probably ground 400 or 500 pounds of pork through it. So it is definitely wore out, but she's still going. It has paid for itself over and over and over again. We're going to be using a kit. This is what I use. This is a High Mountain Summer Sausage kit. You can get these on Amazon. You might be able to get them at Academy. I used to get them at Academy for really cheap, about $15 a kit. I haven't found them recently, but it comes with 10 casings, which is what you need for 30 pounds. It comes with 2 packs of seasoning and then 2 packs of cure. Now you can break this box up. We're doing 15 pounds or 30 pounds. We're going to make 30 pounds. But you can also go by this chart that it gives you. Now we're doing an even 30 pounds. We need 24 pounds of venison and 6 pounds of pork. But you can break it all the way down into 3-pound increments, which is really, really neat. It tells you how much ice water to use, how much seasoning cure, and even if you want to make old-fashioned bologna. That's really neat. High Mountain, they really try to take care of you. It also tells you on the back side exactly how to process it and smoke it start to finish. That's really, really neat. Like I said, they do their best to take care of you. I like High Mountain. You can even do it in the oven. We're going to be smoking it in my smokehouse. But it tells you everything you need to know. It's really neat. So anyway, guys, we're going to get started on this. Now this is a day-and-a-half process. You need to allow yourself probably about 3 hours of mixing all the meat, grinding the meat, getting it all together, putting your cheese at the very end or your jalapenos, whatever, stuffing it. And then the next day, we're going to put it in the refrigerator and let it marinate overnight. Then the next day, we're going to smoke it. All right. So this is a day-and-a-half process, but you'll save yourself some money by doing it yourself. All right, guys, we're going to get started on this. All right. We're going to get started grinding up this pork. What I did is I cut up a whole Boston butt that I bought. I'm not going to need the whole butt. I just need 6 pounds. I got like a 10-pound butt. So what I did is I cut these up in chunks. And these are semi-frozen, as you can tell. I've had them in the deep freeze in a sack, getting super cold, but you can tell how it's really almost frozen. When it comes to grinding up pork, you can tell, see, it's really, really cold. When it comes to grinding up pork, it doesn't want to cut the fat very well. So the best thing I found to do, which you need to have it cold anyways, but if you have it right there on the edge of freezing, instead of that blade trying to cut that fat and it try to smear it, because fat will try to smear, if you have it really cold right there at frozen, it will cut it a lot better. So we're going to get started with this. You just throw them off in here. You see how wore out my grinder is. That sucker's wore slap out. But that old Cabela's Pro Series right there, you can get a Bass Pro. It's definitely paid for itself over and over and over again. Now it doesn't want to cut the pork as good as it does venison, because that pork is so much more dense with that fat. Alright, we're just going to grind all this up. Let me get my plunger. Alright. When I get all this ground up, I'll be right back with y'all. All right, now we're got the whole butt ground up. What we're gonna do now is it says 9 pounds, 6 ounces. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna transfer some of this into this bag, and you can do it however you want to. I'm just gonna use the same bag I had it in and ground it up. And then we're gonna get about 4 pounds out of it, put it in this bag, and then we're gonna vacuum seal it for another use for sausage. I've already made 60 pounds this year of summer sausage alone. This is gonna make 90. So I always just grind up a Boston butt or two, and then whatever I have left over, I'll vacuum seal it, and then I can use it for another time. So it's just easier for me to do it that way. Well, anyways, let's get some of this out of here. We need right at 6 pounds. This little tub probably weighs about, I don't know, 3 or 4 ounces. It ain't got to be perfect. We'll do about 6 pounds, 4 ounces. Let me tell y'all, if y'all do any type of sausage making, jerky, snack sticks, or anything with a home use, you really need a kitchen scale. They really, really come in handy. They will be your best friend doing stuff like this, because there's no guessing. You know exactly how much you're putting into whatever you're making. All right, we're getting close. Yeah. That'll work right there. That's close enough. It ain't got to be exactly precise. When we're making 30 pounds, it ain't got to be absolutely precise. All right, we're going to move on. We're going to put this in the deep freeze. We're going to let it get super cold. And then we're going to start mixing it with the venison and continue on with the process. We're going to get started with these casings. These casings need to sit in lukewarm to a warmer water. Not scalding hot, but they need to loosen the fibers up inside the casings. These are mahogany, so they're more of a collagen fiber casing. They need to soak for about an hour. So the kit comes with 10. These are good for 3 pounds each. So depending on how much summer sausage you want to make, like I said, I'm making all of it. But say if you want to do a smaller batch, you know, these are 3 pound increments. So that's pretty cool. We're going to put these in here, and while we have the meat getting super cold in the deep freeze, we're going to let these soak. Like I said, we're going to loosen up the fibers in the casing. We're just going to let them sit in lukewarm to hotter water. I'd say that water is about 115 degrees. It's not real hot. But anyways, on to the next step. Okay, I've got 24 pounds of venison in this tub. That is super, super cold, very, very cold. In order for this next process to go right, you have to have the pork very cold and the venison very, very cold. We're going to be looking for protein extraction. So this is where we're going to add the seasoning, the cure, the ice water, and we're going to mix it all together. All right, let me go ahead and get my box right here. Put this off. So your kitchen scale, it calls for 30 pounds. We need 24 ounces of ice water. This water's been in the refrigerator. It may not be ice cold, but it's pretty daggum cold. So we're gonna dump this in here. That was 4 ounces. And that, well, let me go to ounces, hang on. All right, and see there's 17. So that'd be close enough. I'm gonna have to add water anyways, more than likely to this. All right, we're gonna add in the pork. Let me get my gloves on, and I need something to drink. All right, get my gloves on. If I can get it on right and not be crooked. All right. This is the seasoning. Again, these are for 15-pound bags, so we're going to use all of it. We're going to mix that in. Now we're gonna do the cure. Now, if you was gonna do a smaller batch, you would definitely want that kitchen scale to get your all your ratios just right. But since we're doing an even 30 pounds, you just dump it all in here. Okay. Now, this part, let me turn my scale off. This part isn't a lot of fun. This is gonna be the protein extraction right here. I'm gonna be mixing this by hand. The meat is super cold. It's probably about 30 to 32 degrees, maybe a little bit cooler than that. It's right there on the edge of freezing. But the colder it gets, the better your protein extraction will get. If this meat is too warm, say in the 40s, even 50s, which is very much not a good thing because of the pork, and it promotes bacteria growth. But we need the protein extraction for all of this to come together. We're just gonna mix this by hand, and this takes a few minutes. I tell y'all what, I'm gonna take my glove off and I'm gonna put my phone on the hanger. That way it won't be bouncing around while I'm doing this, and y'all be able to see what I'm doing. All right. All right. Now, I'm just gonna mix this all best we can. Ooh, it's cold. It's very, very cold. But you gotta do it. And what we're gonna do when we get this protein extraction, and it starts to really thicken up, then we're gonna run it back through the grinder one more time. And that will bring all the seasonings and the cure and whatever else you want to add to it, the jalapenos or whatever you want to put in it, you want to blend all that together. I'm not adding anything. The only thing I'm adding to this later on is going to be some high temp cheese. Whew. Man, it's cold. It is cold. Ooh, it's cold. Ooh. You can take breaks. It's not going to hurt it a bit. Take breaks. Your hands get cold, take a break. Ooh, man. Golly. Ooh, it's cold. It's starting to thicken up a little bit now. Oof, man, it's got to be cold. This part is no fun, but it's got to be cold. All right, we're getting pretty close now. You see how it's not quite there, but it's getting close. It's trying to clump together. It's pretty close. I'm gonna mix it for about another 30 seconds or so. There's even chunks of frozen meat in here too. That's how cold it is. I can feel them. There's a piece of frozen meat right there. Let you know how cold it is. All right, that's pretty close right there. See how it's sticking to my glove? It's pretty close. It's right about what you want. How it tries to clump together when you pull it apart. That's what you need. That's that protein extraction. All right, I think we just about got it where we want it. Since this meat is already so cold and still frozen, I'm going to go ahead and run it through the grinder. And we'll go on and get that part done. All right. Okay, guys. Let's talk about some cheese. This is an optional part of the process. Some people like putting cheese in, some people don't. This high temperature cheese is what is recommended for summer sausage. I like to buy it in this is just me. I like to buy it in 5 pound increments. It's cheaper when you buy it in bulk. Plus, I go through it. This is actually right at about 1.5 pounds, maybe a hair more out of 5 pounds left. I'm going to use this. Typically, when you're running summer sausage or even smoked sausage, when you want to add cheese, most people will like to add 10%. So if I'm running 30 pounds, I need to right at 3 pounds of cheese. I don't have 3 pounds of high temperature cheese. I'm just going to throw this in here and be done with it. It's not going to hurt anything. It's just not going to have as much cheese in it. But preferably, I would like to have 3 pounds of high temperature cheese. Now this cheese, you can get it online for about $10 a pound. Maybe a little bit cheaper if you really search around. But if you try to buy it in 1 pound increments or maybe 2 pound, 2.5 pound increments, it's going to be more expensive. It's going to be like 15 bucks a pound. But like I said, this is optional. This is just what I do. I like to add cheese. But again, I don't have enough, but we're going to use the rest of it. One more thing I want to add. If you order this cheese online, you know it's going to come through the mail. This is just me. This is cheese. Not only is it high temperature cheese, but when it comes in the mail, if you order this during the summer, for example, it may be sitting in your mailbox all day. I do not prefer doing that. I only order this stuff usually in the wintertime or once it cools off, just for that purpose, because it is cheese and it will be sitting in your mailbox all day while you're at work, you know. So just wanted to mention that, throw that out there. Go ahead and get rid of this and we'll start the next part of the process. Okay. I'm gonna move on to the last step before we stuff this sausage. Now that will be adding high temp cheese. You don't have to do this. This is an optional part of the process, but I prefer the cheese. Do not put this cheese in the meat and then run it through the grinder. This has to be after. You have to put this in after if you decide to do it. So what I'm going to do is, the majority of the time, if you ever go to put cheese in there, you see how dry it looks, how it's just really clumpy, and it doesn't really have any moisture content to it. What I'm going to do, see how it's really, really sticky? What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of water to this, and that's going to help me mix this cheese in a little bit better. So we're just going to add probably, I don't know, 5-6 ounces of water, something like that. It ain't got to be perfect. I'm going to throw in, this is about 1.5 pounds of cheese. It calls for about 3 pounds, but we've already discussed this. I'm just going to use the rest I got. Dump it in. Now, if you use regular cheddar cheese, it will melt and it will make a mess. I've tried it before. It does not work. You need high temperature cheese. Okay. So I'm just going to mix this in the best that I can by hand. And it's going to take a minute. I may have to add some more water to it. This high temperature cheese will hold up to about 400 degrees before it actually starts to melt. Whereas regular cheese will melt at about 75 degrees. So makes a big difference using high temp cheese. And it's made differently too. It has a higher, I think it has a higher fat content, but don't hold me to it. Somehow when it's made differently. I'm just gonna keep mixing this until we get it mixed up. Still a bunch of cheese in the bottom of it. Alright, I'm just gonna mix that up until it gets to about where we want it to, where the cheese seems to be mixed pretty good. And then we're gonna start stuffing it in the casings. Alright, I'll be back with y'all in just a second. Take the glove off. Alright, here's the next step. Talking about the actual stuffer. My original stuffer that I bought was a horizontal style stuffer. And I think I paid like $30 for it online. Years and years ago, probably 10 years ago at least. And there's no telling how many pounds of sausage that I stuffed through it, to the point that I actually wore it out. The horizontal stuffers, they're okay. The cheaper ones especially, they're okay. But the problem with the horizontal stuffers is when that actual tube is a gear pushing through that tube, it can actually shave off small particles of metal inside that tube, and it can go into your meat. That's what was wearing out with mine. I didn't, it's not preferable, but if you really want to go the cheapest route possible, you can get a horizontal style stuffer. They're more aggravating to use. I found this one on Amazon for about $100, and it does 7 pounds. Versus my old one that did, I think it was 5 pounds, if I remember correctly. But when you're doing smoked sausage, you don't have to pay as much attention to how you put the meat in the tube. Because when you push it out into smoked sausage, air isn't as big of a priority. But when you're doing summer sausage, air is your enemy. When you stuff this for summer sausage, if you get any air in there, and you might get a little bit, but you want to get as minimal as possible. If you get any big pockets of air in that summer sausage casing, what it can do is it can actually rot. If you have it sitting out on the counter, it can possibly rot right around that air pocket, because what's in air, bacteria can be in air. So we want to do as much as we can to keep air out of this stuffer. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this meat. Let me get another glove. That way I can be as clean as possible. Get another glove. What we're going to do is we're going to try to make a ball. That way we'll prevent any air. And then we're going to take the ball, push it down in here, and we're going to smash it. And what we're doing is we're pushing any air that's inside of that tub, we're going to try to push it out. We don't want any air in there. All right, so we're going to make another one. I just want to kind of get it the size of the tub. We're going to smash it in there. And move it around and try to get all the air out that you can. Alright, we can actually get a little bit more in there because it's almost full. Make a little ball that time. Alright, we got it at the top. Alright, let me move this meat over here on my other table in my little man cave. This is the big reason why I wanted to show y'all how to make this, that you don't need any special tools. You know, you need a little bit, you know, the stuffers and the grinders and stuff like that, but you don't really need any special tools. Let me back this up just a little bit where y'all can see what I'm doing. Right about there. You don't need any real special tools. I'm just out here in my little man cave, my little processing room. It's just a shop outside of my house, you know. You don't really need any fancy equipment. As long as you got a deep freeze, a stuffer, a grinder, and a little bit of willpower, you can do this. It's not that hard. So we're going to take a casing. It's been soaking for about an hour. We're going to take it and we're going to run some of the water out of it. And we're going to run this down until we get the seat. Now there's going to be air right here. We're going to push this air out. Oh, right there. All right. Now we're going to take this casing, put it on here. Grab it in my glove. Now, when you go to start this, it's going to fill up the casing, and you want to try to get it as tight as possible, okay? When you get it as tight as possible, it's going to naturally try to push the air out. Let's see. All right, see how it's getting tight? Now we're just going to slowly let it slide through our hands. When you get close to the end, leave yourself a little bit of room to tie off. That's probably good right there. All right, and you want to take it and try to squeeze it. That's better if you take your gloves off to do this, because you can grip it a little bit better. If I can get them off, I may just have to replace them. That's probably what I'll do, is I'll just replace them. Them gloves are pretty cheap. Let me get some butcher's twine. All right, now here's the next point I want to make. You can use hog ring pliers and hog rings. I don't use them just because I don't want to buy no hog rings. I use butcher's twine. The reason I like to use butcher's twine is for two reasons. One, it's cheaper, and I can use it for other stuff. And the other reason is, when I put it in my smokehouse, if you had a hog ring plier right here, you wouldn't be able to have a loop to tie off to hang it. By using butcher's twine, I can tie off right here at the end, and I can hang it on this side, or I can hang it on this side. And I do like to rotate them every couple hours when they're in the smokehouse. That's just what I do. So, we're going to take... see if I can back this camera up just a little bit where it can see what we're doing. All right. I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to try to push that meat down as far as I can, just if there's any air right there at the end. And you see it's pretty tight. It's about as tight as it's going to get. I may have to actually take a little of this meat out because I got a little bit too close to the end. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to make a half slip knot right here. You can tie it off however you want to. Tie it right here. It'll grab the end. And the harder you clench it, the tighter it gets. Like that. Now we can make another half knot, and it'll kind of Really hold it together like that. All right, now we'll make another loop right here and tie it off. And I'm gonna tie against the slip knot. You can tie it however you want to. It's just, well, I just do whatever just to make a loop. Okay, now we have a loop. All right, so now I can tie it off and hang it from this side, or I can tie it off, and this loop comes with a casing, or I can tie it off on that side. So you have a 3-pound log right there. I'm gonna make 10 of these, okay? 30 pounds. And then what we're gonna do is when we get done, we're gonna put them in the refrigerator and we're gonna let them marinate overnight, okay? And that's pretty much that. I'll show y'all one more time. Put this one off to the side. Get the casing. Show y'all one more time how to do this. You're gonna hold it tight. You're gonna slowly let the meat come out. Get the casing tight. See how big pocket of air come out? Did you hear that? That was inside that meat. Now by getting it tight, I hope you heard that. There was a pocket of air in here in this tube from when I was stuffing that meat. And when I got it tight, that air had nowhere to go but out. And you heard it pop. Now if that air pocket would have been in that summer sausage, this summer sausage is designed to stay out on the counter. That's why they call it summer sausage. It was designed to be cured and smoked to where it wouldn't go bad. But if you have an air pocket in here, naturally it can rot. So, you know, most people don't leave it out on the counter. I'm just saying that's what it was designed for. But it's very important to keep as much air out of here as you can. Now with smoked sausage, again, it's not near as important because you're going to be cooking it. But once you cook this smoked sausage, it's designed to be cured. So you got to have the air out of it. So keep it as tight as you can. I mean, don't get it so tight you might try to rip the casing, which these casings are very, very tough, by the way. But the point being is you want to get it as tight as you can to keep any air from getting in there. All right. Again, you want to leave yourself a little bit of room. Let's see where we're at. We're probably right there close to the end. And we are. We'll push that down. We'll twist it. We're going to get some more butcher's twine. Alright, we're going to make a half knot, slip knot, whatever you want to call it. Tie it on itself where it'll slip. See how it'll slip? The harder you pull, the tighter it will get. Especially when you've got it hanging, the harder it pulls, the tighter it gets, so it's not going to come off. It's not going to slip off and hit the ground. All right, now I'm going to tie another half knot on it, just to secure it a little bit better. All right, you see that's hanging. I don't know if you can see that. I got the phone turned at a different angle. We're going to take a loop. We're going to make another half knot, cinch it down on itself to where it'll slide, and then we're going to tie against the string so that it won't spin or won't slip anymore, just like that. Now you have that's not going to fall. You see how tight that is. The harder you pull, the tighter it gets. So now when you put it in your smokehouse, your electric smoker, or putting it in the oven, or however you want to do it, I prefer a smokehouse because what doesn't taste better than a smokehouse? You can hang it by the loop that the casing comes with, and you can flip it around to even out some of that heat as it's cooking on the other side. That's why I use butcher's twine. All right, guys, I'm gonna finish making up the rest of these. I've got 7 more to go. I'll meet y'all back when I'm done. Okay, guys. Wanted to let y'all know that, let me see if I can back this up just a little bit. The kit that I was telling y'all about with the High Mountain seasoning, it comes with 10 casings, 10 mahogany casings. Well, I actually needed 11. Normally I get by with the 10 casings, but for whatever reason, I got them as full as I could get them. I still needed 11. So what I did was I got another casing, and I have some extras that I ordered just in case for times like this. And I got me another one, soaked it real good for about 15-20 minutes, and just kept massaging it around to get it good and broken up, ready to go. I was going to let y'all know, these mahogany casings, I have actually wet this before when I previously done smoked sausage. You can tell how it's a little bit drier. If you can see it, let me see if I can move that camera. If you can see it, see how it's a little bit darker? This has actually been used before. What I did is I put an extra one in the tub when I previously made summer sausage a couple months ago, and I didn't need it. So what I did is I hung it and air dried it to get all the moisture out of it, and then put it back in the package. You can do that. Just make sure you get it good and dry and put it back in the package, okay? So when you get to the end, you're going to have a little bit of sausage left over that's still going to be in the stuffer. Get out as much as you can, and you can put it in the casing. So I'm just going to put a little bit out here, get as much as I can out, because we don't want to waste any. You know, you put a lot of work into this. We don't want to throw any of it away that we can. Just put this out there. Now, we got pretty much all we can get. There's still a little bit on the rim we can get out. I gotta take that tub off anyways. Clean it. I gotta clean all this. So we're gonna take what's left that we got right here. We're gonna stand the casing up. If you can see that, hopefully you can see that. And we're going to put the rest of this sausage in this casing manually by hand. And once we get it in the casing, we can slide it down to meet up with the other batch of meat that's down here. Alright, we can take it, pinch it down, there. But you can put the rest of it in here. Shape that to where it'll slide down in there. That's that. Pinch it down in there. Try to get any air that we had in there out. That's that. Kind of massage it around because there may have been a little bit of air that got in there. I'll massage it around right here a little bit to maybe push any air out. And then we're going to work it on down. Now, I don't know if you know this, but these casings, they have little tiny holes poked all in them. That is for air and for moisture. It's a kind of a double deal there for air and moisture. So if you squeeze it too hard, you'll see the meat try to come out of it. But that's okay. It's not going to hurt it. You're not going to bust it, nothing like that. But if you ever see that meat trying to come out of those little bitty holes, it's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. So I'm going to tie this one off. And we're going to let all these casings, all this summer sausage, marinate overnight in the refrigerator. Just let them lay there in the refrigerator. You can wrap them up in a bag like I'm going to do. You can leave them sitting on a paper towel, whatever you want to do. You know, just make sure they're in the refrigerator overnight. And I will see y'all first thing in the morning, and we'll start to smoke this. All right, guys. That's it. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to move on to the final process. I've hung this summer sausage out in my smokehouse. And I've already got my smoke tubes going. I've got a little bit of heat going. I'm about to shut the door. For the first hour, we're going to keep this smokehouse at about 100 degrees to maybe 115. It doesn't have to be exact. All you're trying to do is just dry the casings out a little bit before we start slowly bumping up the heat. I'm just going to use a regular turkey fryer, the smoke tubes you can get from Amazon with some wood pellets in them. But I'm also going to smoke in my little electric smoker to show y'all it can be done. Now we're at 150 degrees right there. So what I need to do is I need to crack the door. It's so easy for that little smoker to get too hot because it's so little. I'm doing the same thing. I'm just smoking one. And I just want to show y'all it can be done. I'm going to turn it down all the way because we want to keep it at about 100, no more than about 120 degrees right now. All right, guys, first hour, just smoke it low and slow for about 100, 120 degrees. And I'll check back up with y'all in just a minute. Okay, guys, I've been going for about the first hour, about 100 to 115 degrees. We're gonna check on them, see how dry they look. Look at all that smoke, little smoke tubes. They pump it out. It's kind of windy today. I want this door to slap me. But you see how they've dried out a little bit. That's what you want. Now on the packaging, if you go by the kit, it tells you not to smoke for the first hour. I have never had any issue whatsoever with just smoking the entire process. It doesn't hurt it a bit. That's just what I do. But they're good and dry. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna shut this door and we're gonna bump it up to about 130 degrees. So bump it up. And you can control, using a turkey fryer, you can really dial in your temperature, especially with a smokehouse this size. You can really control that temperature exactly where you want it. Now on my little electric smoker, I'm actually a little too hot. I need to turn it down a little bit. I need to try to get it at about no more than 150, but this thing is so little, it's so hard to control it. And I keep the door cracked. She's going in there. So for a 1 hour update, things are looking pretty good. All right, so we're at a 2 hour update. Just slowly cooking them and smoking them at a low temperature. Here soon, I'm gonna start bumping it up to about 160 to about 170. Check them out. Now what I did is I flipped the whole sausage around to the other side so it could start cooking a little bit on the bottom. Go ahead and shut that. I'm gonna come to the smokehouse. I've got it right at 100, about 150 degrees. I'm gonna start bumping it up just a little bit. I'm gonna go to about 160. And what we're gonna do is we're going to flip these around. Not gonna sit here and make y'all watch all that. But I'm gonna flip all these around and I'm gonna start bumping the temperature up. And then we're gonna keep on smoking, nice and slow. There y'all have it. That's gonna be a 2-hour update. Okay, we're at a 3-hour update. I've got the temperature about 55, 60 degrees, give or take. I'm gonna start bumping it up just a little bit more. I'm gonna go to about 160-ish to 170. Just slowly creeping it up. Now the highest I go with this smokehouse is 180. I don't go any higher because I don't want to overcook the summer sausage. I want to do it as low as possible. The lower you do it, the better it will taste. So we're gonna open it up and take a peek at it. Now they haven't started sweating yet. Ooh, that smoke's in my eyes. When they start getting hot and actually starting to cook, they'll start sweating the fat that's inside the sausage. So we're not there yet, but we're getting there. We probably got about another 3 hours to go. Maybe a hair bit more. All right, we're just gonna slowly, ooh, it smokes on my eyes. Let's check on the other one, there's a little smoker. You see, yeah, we're at 200, that's too hot. Okay, so see how that one's starting to sweat a little bit? That one's getting closer. What it's doing is it's sweating out some of the fat and moisture that's in the casing. When it starts sweating out like that, it's getting closer. That one's probably only got maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours left, something like that. All right, we're almost at a 5-hour update. I just kept it at a constant, about 175 degrees. We're gonna check these out, see what they're looking like. So they're just now, see, these aren't even really sweating yet. They should be soon though. This one is getting pretty close. And what I did is, this is the one that was in the little electric smoker. I took it out and put it in here just to cook it a little bit slower. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna probe this and check and see what the temperature is. So that one's at 151 degrees. That's actually really, really close. So we're aiming for about 156 to about 157 degrees of an internal temperature. Let's check one of these and see what they look like. Oh, just took a hole. They're not nearly done. See, that one's 137. So it's still got a while to go. But you just keep a probe in them, check them periodically. Here soon, I'm gonna probably right now, I'm gonna flip these around the other way just to make sure they'll cook all the way through on both sides. And we'll move on to the final step, which is letting them rest. So there you have it. That's a 5-hour update. And that one is almost done. All right, guys. So we're right at a 6-hour update. Got the one that is done. I've already opened the door and checked it. That's why the temp is dropping. It's been at a constant 175 degrees. I've got my mangy blue heeler lap dog keeping watch over the sausage. She's goofy. All right, so let's get this out. Let's see if I can probe this one that's ready to show you. This is the one that's been in the electric smoker that I've recently had in here. Oh, my door's going flying. Sorry about the camera, guys. So you see this at 158. That one is done. So what we're gonna do, sorry about that, it's the smoke. The rest of these still have a little ways to go. I'll probe this one to show y'all. That one's at 153. It's very close. This door keeps trying to take off from me. So that one's very close. We're gonna give that one a few more minutes. I want it to be at least about 156, 157. So we're gonna take this one off. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it in the deep freeze. That is the easiest thing I found to do because these are longer. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna let it rest. So put it in the deep freeze or your freezer on your refrigerator and just let it rest until it comes down to room temperature. And then we're gonna package it. All right, guys. I've had a couple of them in here that have been chilling. You can put these in a big tub of nothing but ice. Do not put them in water. That casing will soak up that water and it will ruin the sausage. So either it needs to be sitting on ice to rest and come down to room temperature. You're trying to stop the cooking process, okay? Do not put them in water. Either the deep freeze or a bucket of ice, something that they can fit in. I just prefer to throw them in the deep freeze. That's the easiest thing for me. That way I don't have to buy no ice. So I'm gonna take this one out. This one has cooled down enough. I'll bring it over here. And let's see what she looks like on the inside. Normally when I vacuum seal these, I'll do them in about a pound to maybe 1.5 pound increments. That way, if I want to give some away to somebody's birthday or whatever, you know, whatever, or for myself, you know, I don't want to give too much away. That way, if I cut it, if I cut this one in half, you know, it won't go bad. It won't go to waste. So, we'll cut this one up. Let's see, there's still a good amount of cheese. Even though we had only 1.5 pounds of cheese in here, there's still plenty of visible cheese. Look at that. Take the casing off. Let's see what she tastes like. Look at the moisture in it. You see that? If you do it low and slow, it still has plenty of moisture. If you cook this summer sausage too fast, it will be dry. I'm telling you what. Hey, look at that moisture. That is good. That is really, really good. There you have it, guys. Making fine quality summer sausage. About as good as it gets right there. Okay, guys. This is what I do when I get all of it done and ready to go. I'm going to cut the end off right here because we obviously don't need that. I got the rest of the sausage in the deep freeze right now, coming down to room temperature. We're stopping the cooking process. But I have this one ready to go. It's cooled off. What we're going to do is we're going to vacuum seal this, and then I'm going to freeze it. And whenever I want to eat some or give some away or whatever, I just take it out of the deep freeze, let it thaw out, and it is ready to go just as good as the day you smoked it. Vacuum seal it. There you have it, guys. From the woods to your table, old-fashioned, homemade summer sausage. It does not get much better than this. Now, I do want to add, I don't know how much your processor would charge you to make this, but $10 in cheese is roughly what I have in it because we only used 1.5 pounds of cheese. So I've got $10 worth of cheese. I've got about $6 to $7 of a Boston butt. And then I've got $30 worth of the seasoning in the kit. So that's under $50. I made 30 pounds of summer sausage. That's a pretty good deal right there. I know the processor will charge you a lot more than that for 30 pounds. So anyways, that's how you make it. It may not be everybody's way, but that's my way. I go the easiest route possible, and I've had, I don't know how many countless of people tell me this is the best summer sausage they have ever had. All right, guys, there you have it. Have a good one.